This is the Seven Figure Agency Podcast. Discover the strategies and techniques to grow a highly successful and profitable digital marketing agency with your host, Josh Nelson.
What is up? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I am like really excited about what we're about to do. Today, we're joined by JC Hite from Hite Digital. JC literally runs one of the fastest growing agencies, one of the largest agencies in the country. From what I understand, over the last 4 years, has grown to 8 figures. Prior to that, built an 8-figure agency and exited from it. So if you guys are ready for some really high-level insights on how to build and scale a truly successful digital marketing agency, give me a yes, give me a like, give me a comment. Type JC in all caps here in the comments. JC, man, thanks so much for being here.
Gosh, brother, it's a pleasure. I'm super excited, dude. The respect for you and what you've done and your audience, and dude, I'm a big fan. So humbled that you invited me on here.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So I guess before we start, just talk us a little bit about your agency as it sits today, right? Who you serve, about how much revenue, just a quick high level lay of the land.
So Hite right now has really evolved. So we started off as a white label company, and I will talk about my agency before here in a bit, but jumped into the white label space. I'm a product guy. Like, I know PPC, I know SEO. I'm not a sales guy. So white label, it was about leverage, right? Like, let me do product and let me just find other people to sell for me, right? Very simple, right? And just in the last December, not this last one, the December before that, a year ago, I had a mentor talk to me about franchising, about licensing. And essentially we've jumped full circle from white label into franchising. And a lot of people are like, what does that even mean? How does that look? Here it is. It's very simple. Franchising is all about us coming together under one brand, centralizing systems, centralizing products, centralizing everything, but yet still having independent agencies throughout the world. And I have to give the example of like RE/MAX, right? Like, or real estate agents in general, right? 35 years ago, every realtor in the country was independent. They all did their own thing. Then a company actually by the name of Century 21 came along, and they were like, wow, you spent thousands on website, you spent thousands on website, you're spending on product, you're spending on everyone. Like, we're spending billions of dollars on, let's just build one website and make it the best freaking website in the world and do it way cheaper, right? And so how do we consolidate to save money, but increase quality, serve our clients better, retain more, and grow faster? And not only grow faster, but more stable is what I really like to talk about.
I love it. So it sounds like, talk to us about like how many clients, how much revenue now at Hite Digital, like where you sit today.
So we're at 8 figures this year. I would love to get to 1,000 clients in total. I don't know if we're going to quite get there. Maybe we'll probably finish around like 850 to 800, but give or take. And that's just our revenue. That's not our franchise's revenue, right? So if you add them up, then we're multiple 8 figures at this point. So that's about our size. In terms of people, we got about 175 team members at Hite. Last year, we grew a little over 100 team members in total, which was freaking nuts. And these aren't virtual assistants. They're not like VA. These are full-time, 100% in-house. Like, we got an office right here. All of them work from our office, team members, right? And so they're on benefits, and we pay for all of their kids to go to school, and like, crazy stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So a multiple 8-figure agency. Guys, you're going to get lots of insights here. If you're excited, give me a yes. And then post your comments. We're going to be watching this in the Facebook group. So if you've got questions, we'll try and answer them as we go. So talk to me about the kind of the rationale briefly on going franchise versus trying to just keep it as your own digital marketing, model.
The benefit of white label is that it allows you, again, like for us, it allows us to focus on product, operations, systems, versus sales, right? And allows us then, in a white label format, you've got all these sales guys all around the world. And in most agencies that are probably listening, you're on the flip side, right? You want to be the sales, the big money, the da-da-da. You want to use a white label because you don't want to do that crap. I'm the same way, but the opposite. I don't want to do the freaking sales. The problem with white label, the problem with any organization, right? So I come from corporate. We had our last agency, we had 350 people. 90% of organizations, your sales and your product are always kind of at battle. Sales is always like, product, you suck. Why are clients leaving us? And products like, sales, you suck. Set better expectations. And this is a constant battle. That is dramatically compounded in a white label format, right? Because you know what? I don't have to listen to this guy. What JC, what do you know? Like I've had one SEO client in the past. I don't have to listen to you. I know what I'm talking about. I'm firing you. And they move on, right? And with any relationship in the world that you want to grow, and a business is a relationship, right? Whether you're talking about your clients or your partners or whatever, if your instinct is, it doesn't work, let me just switch. I don't like you. Let me just switch. You messed up. Let me just switch. Like you're never going to grow. And the white label just opened that up way too much. We had partners that stuck with us forever and we effed things up. We screwed up, but we overcame it. We learned, we grew, we da-da-da. In the franchise model, we have to get over it. It's a 5-year contract. Like we're getting in bed together. In fact, it's easier probably, and this is terrible, but it's probably easier for you to get a divorce than to break up what's in a franchise. So that does several things. Number one, it makes us really think about that relationship more. Are we really the right fit? Right. And from our end, we want to make sure, because there's a lot of things that hit us if you're not the right fit, probably even more so than the franchisee. And then on top of that, it forces us to work through things. So when there is issues, dude, we got to solve this. And that makes us both better, both stronger. Right. And so there's been so many things that the franchise model, I think, has really helped, but that's kind of like some of the foundational stuff that in the beginning, we're like, we got to jump down this path. And it's, to give you an idea, we had 110 white label partners in December of 2020, right? No, 2020, we had 110 white label partners. In 2020, the year, so in December, in the year of 2020, we went from 110 white label partners to 3 left, 3 of our favorites, and we added just 19 franchises. So that's 110 partners to 23 partners. During that time, we doubled our revenue.
Wow.
Right? So if you think about the ARPA there, or the average revenue per partner was like quadrupled, right? So it's working so far anyways.
Sounds like it. Sounds pretty epic. Can you just talk a little bit about the services you provide at Hite? And then we talk about digital marketing. There's such a spectrum. Can you talk about the things that you deliver on behalf of clients?
So we started off on the digital side, PPC, SEO, and Facebook ads. We felt that we got really good at that. We had QA. I mean, we're product. We're product people at heart, right? And so QA, training, development, I mean, everything around those 3. We then added the CRM, that'll go high level CRM. And we're still playing with that. I'm not super excited. Well, we'll come back to that. I love GHL. Sean's a good friend, but we're growing that department. And then now, in the last 7 months, we added Hite Creative. And our goal with Hite Creative, which does brand books, it does brand books, websites, logos, things like that. It looks like Hite is actually going to become the largest story brand certified agency in the world here in a few months, Lord willing. And so, but we're big into the brand. The goal of the creative actually, yes, it's to make money, but it's actually to work with big brands, right? So like Texas A&M is one of our latest clients, right? And so you use that to leverage the ongoing recurring services, which really matter, the SEO, the PPC, the Facebook ads, things like that. So those are, and then we're adding in, we're about to acquire a company that does swag, right? Very simple stuff, but the margins, Josh.
The shirts, the hats, the mugs.
Shirts, the hats, the mugs, the margins are like 50% and the operations is so low key. So it's very like, when you need it, it's super like profitable. It's not recurring revenue, which kind of sucks, but it's a great like side product. And then we're also right now trying to acquire a more traditional agency that does radio, TV, and billboards, right? So we're really excited about that. Again, when you have the franchise model, we're just adding on product wings for our franchises to be able to sell, right?
Got it. So it sounds like you're looking to go full marketing agency where you're going to touch digital, you're going to touch traditional, you're going to touch print, and kind of everything in between on behalf of the clients that you serve.
That's right. And then that allows then our franchisees, everyone is unique. Some of them only sell SEO. Some of them sell everything. Some of them go more consulting route and like they just really focus on consulting. Some of them work with small businesses. Some of them work with, dude, you got to be at 50K minimum budget to work with me, right? And so, which actually makes us, I believe, stronger because we have all of these different, elements to it.
Yeah. So I guess the one question, and then we'll get to like the journey story, but one question you have to ask is, to serve that number of clients and to have that level of team, like how do you find the talent? How do you train the talent? Like where does the talent sit? Or, you said they work at an office. Just kind of walk me through that part of the equation a little bit. Okay.
So this is talent and hiring and culture is one of my favorite things to talk about. And if we talk about scalability, for me, like the one key thing is your ability to recruit and keep talent, right? Like that's everything. And so one of the things we did from the beginning of Hite is that we went out and we tried to hire the best freaking people we could. And not only the best people, but the most influential people. Who had the most friends? Who was the nice guy? Who, like when they wrote something on Facebook, had like tons of people commenting, right? Because birds of a feather flock together, right? And so we knew that if this guy came in with experience, but man, he came from that agency and there's 100 more people there, like that's who we wanted. In fact, in the beginning, like I was making like $1,000 a month take home because we were living in Nicaragua. I had people making more than that working for my agency. In fact, today at Hite, I think we have 3 employees that make more, literally take home more money on an annual basis than I do. Wow. And that's always been a very big thing to us. Is the biggest thing is going to hold us back is the ability to hire people, right? And so now we're getting to a point where, dude, I mean, we've built a really good hold in the country of Nicaragua. We dump so much into benefits. So for example, every single child at Hite is on full scholarship, right? And so when I look at it as like, what are the type of personas that we want? Normally in marketing companies, you want young people, right? Or at least that's what we end up hiring, 22, 20. What I find is, man, I really like those 28, 29, 30-year-olds.
A little more mature.
More mature. They know what they've got. They're not like green, grass is always green on the other side. And then how do we play benefits into those people, right? So like at Hite, every single child is on full scholarship. So in Nicaragua, where the average education is the 4th grade, all of our kids to go to either the American school, the French school, the German school, they all speak 100% English. And so how do we play into that? Dude, we just, we're big into, even though I'm actually not that big into education, I had like a 2.0. I couldn't care less if you have a degree or not, but like it's big to our people, right? And so we have to invest that. We actually just got a deal with a big university in Arkansas, a Christian university, where every single child at Hite, as long as you work for Hite for 5 years, we will actually give you a full scholarship to go to the US to get your bachelor's degree. They're kids, right? And so dude, you start creating junk like that, nobody leaves you. And a lot of times we think about the expense of that, well, instead of thinking about the opportunity cost, right? So one great account manager is managing $60,000 in revenue. Like it's screw the $1,000 you're going to pay him, right? And so it's much more about the lost revenue, right? So hiring the best people you could. We bring them in. We have an office. We're very much about the office culture. We've got a bicycle. We've got hammock. We got an entire floor here.
Yeah, Mike was just asking, is that a hammock? Do I see a hammock behind you?
You know, who sent this to me? It was Lucid Chart sent me a hammock. So I was like, where the crap am I going to put this? So I threw it up on my desk. Google sent us a bicycle, and yeah, it's fun. We got a cafe right here. We got a daycare for the kids. And so how do you create a culture where people, and they want to stay? Right. And I think even in doing that, it's not about what people want. It's about what people like really care about and adds value to their life. Right. So, yeah, anyways, it's exciting.
Love it. So you mentioned Nicaragua a couple times. What's the breakdown of like US based versus, international? I'm just curious because I love the way that you've structured this model.
So of our fulfillment sites, we really essentially have 2 different companies, right? We have the fulfillment and then we have the franchise company. The fulfillment company, 99% of our staff is right here in Nicaragua, from like leadership down, right?
Amazing.
And we're very much on promoting people. We don't bring people typically from the States. There's a couple of positions where it's like, man, I don't even know how to do that job. We got to find someone with experience, but rarely do we do that. In the franchise model, all of our franchises are US owners, US based, and normally they're mergers, right? Like normally they already have an agency doing 10 to 50,000 a month, and they're merging into us to save costs, to be able to scale to whatever they want to do, right?
Love it. So it sounds like the sales business development side of the equation is US based franchisees, and then the operations delivery, also account management and like managing the client communication. Is that all managed internationally?
Yeah, no. So our franchises, they're responsible for 2 things. That's sales and service, or account management, depending on what you define it as. Half of our franchises choose to hire an account manager here in our office here in Nicaragua, and that's a possibility. So about half of them, and then half of them will hire in the States, depending on what they want to do, right? Half of them have offices and they want to go to it and have a little staff there, and half of them don't care, right? So it's easy for us. We're easy going.
Yeah. So, okay. And that's usually the way I would see, like sales and account management, talking to the clients, managing the relationships, US-based team, and then fulfillment could be anywhere, as long as you can provide world-class results, which obviously you are. I love the fact, it sounds like you've got like a really massive operation and you're like one of the top businesses probably in that Nicaragua area, and you're bringing up your own talent, training them up. And these guys are doing websites, SEO, content, strategy, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we were the fastest growing. We were the fastest growing company in 2021, whatever year we just got out. It looks like we're going to be the fastest growing company in the country. But I think it's so difficult, right? Like I'm here in Nicaragua, right? Like I'm building the team, I'm managing the team, I feel it, right? I've helped with creating the QA process, like I'm on, like now I'm not on top of them anymore. We have a VP and all this stuff and like but like it's so different than, oh, let me go, put a little post in a group and the first person that comments that says they're the best at PPC, let me hire them. And now all of a sudden I'm building a team. There's a huge difference in that, right? We choose Nicaragua because and to back up a little bit, like I'm so passionate about this country. Without going into too many details, Nicaragua has an average education of about the 4th grade. We have a dictator in power. It is a very complex, dangerous country to be in right now. And for us, we believe that we have the opportunity to bring stability to that country. So like I hire here because I love like the country and I think they're the best, but I think anyone in the world can be the best, like it's irrelevant kind of where they're at.
Got it. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love the idea. Not hiring a bunch of random VAs, but like creating your own operation facility, real management there in the country, and amazing work. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about that first agency that you built to multiple 7 figures, maybe even 8 figures. It sounds like, and exited from. What were some of the lessons learned in that process? And you guys had a massive ascent in that business as well.
So I actually came onto that organization in year 4, left in year 8, I think, give or take. We were one of the fastest growing PPC companies in the US, premier partner of Google. Dude, we had 350 employees. So we're about double what Hite is. So we were multiple 8 figures. It was crazy, man. We were making so much money. It was incredible. We had a sales team of about 80. I think it was like 85. I think I said to you before, it was about half, but I think it was about
85 sales guys cranking and gals cranking on the phones.
We had 1,500 clients. So, you lose 10% of your clients every month. Normally in an agency, we had to sell 150 clients just to break even. Right. And so we had a huge sales team. We were buying leads, we were managing money, at that level, it's so hard to compete with these big agencies. Cause like Google gives you money, right? My non-disclosure is over now. So I can straight up say like, dude, they would give us $50,000 a month in free ad spend to just market ourselves. Right. And then they gave us about $1 million, maybe a little more in kickbacks every quarter to like do business, to just grow and like serve their clients. Right. And so it was nuts. It was crazy.
That's hidden information. Most people don't realize that Google does that when you're a large agency. So just give me a yes if that's an interesting insight to know that the big boys, are incentivized financially by Google to like manage this stuff.
Go on to Reach Local's website or any of those big ones, and you'll notice they're charging like $500 for Facebook ads at PPC, not $1,500 like a lot of the more boutiques are. The way they're doing that is because they're getting help. Microsoft is actually the best. Like they give more money than anyone. If you're not using Microsoft, you should definitely use it if you know how. But like there's a huge opportunity there. But Google, now they've recently revamped their Premier program. It's way different. It's not near as exciting and sexy, but there's still opportunities. There's still crazy amount of opportunity. So we were growing, we were scaling. There's a lot of things that I learned there. Number one, all of our ownership, and I was one of the minor owners there. Like, dude, we were young. We didn't know what the crap we were doing. We were all in our 20s. And it was out of the 5 of us, 3 of us were from Denmark, not religious at all. We're talking like, dude, I remember one time, Google walked in and we had to erase the board because the top sales guy that month got like 4 strippers. Like they were going to get like that was their, like the prize for, that week, right? Or that day or whatever. And they had to release it off the board because Google was coming in. And even though they knew about it, they couldn't like know about it, type of thing. Right. Like it was Wolf of Wall Street had nothing. It was crazy. And
wow.
About 3 months before, we had switched CEOs. One of the owners took over the CEO position. To be frank, he was a punk. Like he didn't care about anyone. Money was it. If you made him money, you could stay. If you didn't, get out. Like it was just a complete different environment. And that combined with the craziness, my wife and I we were pregnant, 7 months due. We came in and we were like, we got to get out. Like we can't, like, it won't work with us. And we took the exit. At that moment, we had a choice. Like, do we want to start like a boutique agency, 20, 30 clients, make, 20,000 a month, live on the beach? Like 20 clients is nothing to us. We just got to lift 1,500. I could probably call just my contacts to get that. Or do we want to build something? Like, do we want to build something cool, great, that serves the world? And we chose this, and it's amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think building a company is a lot like children, and people don't realize that. Like, I love my kids. I would never want to exchange them, but they're a lot of work and they're a pain in the butt sometimes. And you got to deal with their emotions and their craziness and their frustrations and them being pissed off at you sometimes. Like, now multiply that by 100, because there's a lot of children here, right? And so building a big company is not for everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. So it sounds like you made a great choice in making that transition. So it was a pay-per-click specific service, right? Like this other agency was just selling pay-per-click.
All we did was Google pay-per-click and Microsoft pay-per-click. Yes.
Got it. And working with anybody in any vertical, what were you guys charging basically on a monthly basis? Was it like retainer plus spend? Was it just all of it into one container payment? I'm just curious.
All of it. Yeah. All of it was, pockets, right? So, up to this much spend, we charge this much, up to this much spend, we charge this month, so on and so forth. We were doing, I think, a little over maybe $1 million a month in revenue, but like our bigger revenue source was from Google, not from our clients, right? So, because they did give us a kickback on that spend, right? So,
yeah, right.
And it was always, it almost drove us in the wrong direction, right? Like my goal was to spend your money, straight up, because the more I spent, the better growth I had in Google.
The more money you got on the back end.
Exactly. Right. And so with Hite, we do the same thing. I like the buckets. One of the things that I love about, I had the direct agency, then I had white label, now I have franchise. It's like, I know how agencies grow and scale, like getting from 0 to 10, 0 to 20. I've seen it failed a billion, like you, right? I've seen it fail 100 times and I've seen it success 100 times. And we know kind of like what's really like, we know this stuff, and you start to see those trends in a lot of different ways of like, what divides those that are struggling and those that are not. But yes, we've always done the buckets. Keep it simple, straight up. And we very much heavily focused on what we call programmed revenue or recurring revenue. So
yeah,
waive the setup fee. I don't even care if I lower the recurring price, but I want to have the recurring, dependable, ongoing revenue.
100%. So curious, like you guys were pay-per-click only, serving anybody. Sounds like you grew with a sales force, an army of salespeople. Were they reach local style salespeople in that they were in local markets, knocking on doors, going to networking, or were they more Yodel style sales reps where they were, in an office cranking away on the phones, or maybe a mix?
So we had about 50-ish, like it would go up and down, right? Like we would bring in 50, fire 20, and then bring in another 40, and then hire, like it was nuts. And I mean, like, dude, these were all, nobody wants to do that job. No one wants to do that job. It sucks. It's in every way. So I'd say 90% of them were like deportees, out of, Miami. Right. And, the guys that, they had a rough life. They were do or die people. They didn't care. You could say F you, da, 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 and they were just going to keep hammering. Right. And I love those guys. Dude, those guys were heavy hitters, but it was just definitely a different, environment. And so we had about 50, give or take, telemarketers, and then of course managers over them. We then had operations, and then we had about 8 closers, and then we had a marketing team. So we'd spend anywhere from probably $100,000 a month on Google Ads to get clients, and then we had the telemarketing guys, right? And then obviously we had referrals and every other source you can possibly think of. Yeah. At Hite, we actually a normal month back there for us, we would sell $80,000 or $90,000 a month with that entire sales team. Wow. At Hite, to give you an idea, with 19 franchises and half the staff, last month, like we sell more than that. So like last month we sold a little over almost over $200,000 in new revenue to Hite, right? In total, $200,000 last month in new revenue, not from
Amazing.
the recurring, right? And so what we're doing now, bro, we're going heavy into the branding. Like everything we do is about branding and positioning. So how do we write the books? How do we get on stage? How do we speak in events? Are we posting every single freaking day on social media? Are we adding friends on social media? How are we adding friends on social media? What are we doing like to get, our people to help with the comments so that it boosts up so other people see it and other people interact and comment? Like everything is about that organic strategy, right? Like how do we position ourselves as much as possible? And then we're very big on referrals, man. Like we are heavy into how do we convince our clients to refer their friends to us?
Awesome. So, okay. So just moving away from the other agency, you had sales guys cranking on the phones, teeing up for setters. Setters would close the deals, and then you guys would run the campaigns. Moved away from that. Now we've got Hite Digital, which is do you guys have direct client? It sounds like there's like a direct house accounts strategy as well as franchisee strategy. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, our franchisees serve those clients directly. So that's it, right? And then the fulfillment is all centralized at corporate, right? So think of insurance company. Like when you go into that insurance office and you're dealing with your insurance guy and you're buying home insurance, like he's not putting together that policy. It's corporate that is building that policy, that sets the standards, that builds the calculators, that does all the work, that files, like your local Bob Farmer's insurance guy doesn't do that, right? It's the same exact model, right? And so you've got the sales guy who like understands the pitch, understands the model, that's certified to sell this product, that that has the brand, that has the backing, but then you have the fulfillment done here at corporates, right? So all of our clients are direct, but they're direct to our franchisees, our partners, our agency.
Got it. Amazing. So I'm just curious at this point, like who's the right fit? We got a lot of agencies that are going to watch this, listen to it. Who's the right fit? Like maybe that agency that's thinking, I'm white labeled now, or I don't really like doing the fulfillment. I'd love to partner up with a world-class organization where I can draft on their brand. I can draft on their case studies. I can have the fulfillment done, and I can just focus on selling clients and building my retention strategy and managing those relationships. Yeah. Talk to me about who that ideal person is and how they could learn more.
So I think there's two like foundational aspects you have to be at least cool with to be a part of us. And then there's two different types of personas that are joining. So number one, we're big on faith. We're big on family. Like I kind of think of like the Chick-fil-A of the restaurant, like of the
love it so much.
So if you're not down with that, cool with that, like it would be, you get frustrated because we give a lot of our profits away. We very heavily invested in education. Like we just don't, if you're big into like, dude, maximizing profits, I want to make as much money. The culture will be difficult, for you, right? We still want to make money. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, setting the stage there.
It's a Christ-centered, God-first approach, and rather than just profit for the sake of profit.
My relationships that I have are way more important than, than the dollar bills at the end of the day. I'm wearing like, my grandmother, I think, bought me this a couple of years ago, and I'm wearing like, we're too chill. We're relaxed. Anyways,
love it.
And then there's two models. So number one is agencies between probably 10 to 100, like 10,000 or below. We're like, dude, go make sure you can sell before you come, because if you can't get to 10, go learn to sell. So normally our smallest agencies coming on are already doing around 10,000. Up to 100,000 in revenue monthly. All right. And normally those guys coming on, it's like, dude, I'm trying to scale faster. I'm struggling building the team. I don't want to be a part of the operations. I don't want to be a part of the systems. I can't hire. Like it's the fulfillment side is their struggle. Dude, that's where we shine, right? Like we're yin and yang, so to speak. Right. So that's one. The second thing is for those people that want to have an exit, like I'm building something to sell. Right. So let me give you an example. What would be easier to sell, a McDonald's or Josh's Burger Shack?
McDonald's all day, right?
Probably McDonald's. In fact, what would have a higher multiple of EBITDA? It would be much easier to sell. Why? Because an investor coming in wants something like, dude, this is a machine. And the franchise model, that's exactly what you're trying to buy, right? A machine where you focus on just very small pillars that has a gigantic effect. So if you're wanting to sell, exit, do things like that, that's huge. Or if you're just having trouble in the back end, right? We are not for like, my name's on the deal, right? So I get it. If you love your brand like crazy, like, dude, mine is Goldfish Capital and I'm so in love with my name and my brand and I can never cool. We're probably not the right fit, right? And so that's probably the biggest thing that people struggle with is just like, oh man, now I'm going to become a part of Hite. On the flip side, you get every leverage, bro. Like by using the same name, Josh, dude, like even if you're only doing 10K, the moment you sign up, you're like, dude, we're partners.
Now you're an 8-figure agency, right? And you can draft on all that authority and all the case studies and all the social proof.
That's right. Because every case study is with Hite. Every like partnership, like Dave Ramsey endorses us. He endorses Hite. We have clients like Texas A&M and all these big clients. You can like, those are your clients. So you meet like, here's my LinkedIn. You can see we have 100 and employees, right? And so everything starts to compound. And if you're a good salesperson, it becomes a lot easier, right?
Excellent. So those are kind of the personas for this. How would someone reach out and learn more if they're thinking, hey, you know what, maybe I do want to be a franchise of this model, and I believe that that's the future?
Yeah, franchise.hitedigital.com would be the best place, or reach out to me. I'm super easy to get a hold of. Shoot me a message. Hit me up on Instagram is probably the best, Facebook or Instagram, or franchise.hitedigital.com. So, yeah, dude, I appreciate it. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so check that out. That's kind of you, and you're thinking, you know, this might be an awesome way to shortcut the process. I want to shift gears now. I want to talk about how you're landing clients, because you get thousands of clients now, and like specifically like sales process and kind of who you're targeting and how that's working. I want to talk a little bit about scale, because obviously you've become world class at figuring out how to scale operations and provide great results. So before we shift to that, guys, if you're watching live and you have questions, you've got an 8-figure agency owner on here ready to answer your questions. So this is a unique opportunity. Type your questions into comments. So let's start with the like where you're getting these clients from and what's working best for your franchisees to get in the door and get deals.
So I think, I mentioned it before about branding, and part of branding, some people think it's included. Some people see it as separate. There's a thing going on right now, and I don't think I ever knew the name of it. Power partners, I think is what people call it, right? Mm. And we're big
ventures, power partners.
Oh my gosh. Right. And so like Dave Ramsey is one of us. If you go onto Dave's website and you find marketing company, we're the only one he talks about. If you go to his Entree Leadership podcast, we're the only one he talks about. Right. And those are huge. Right. And it's double-sided. Number one, we get direct leads from that. But number two, it's more than the podcast. It's all the other leads I get to be like, oh dude, Dave Ramsey endorses us. Like, what? Dave endorses you? Oh, well, this guy must be,
must be good. Right.
Must be good. And so power partners are big for us. Like there's, I don't know how many, what's it called? The local chambers we're a part of. What is it called? The lawyer.
BNI, probably in all the local BNIs. Okay.
We are in a lot of those.
Vistage.
BNI, but the lawyers, they have them. Crap. What's the name of them?
Bar associations.
Like all the associations are, oh my goodness. And you got to call a lot now because there's companies like Hite that are barging in, but you have furniture. Every single industry has associations. And depending on the size of the industry, they'll have local, associations. Man, a lot of those you can get in, and for very, very few dollar bills, you can go in and sponsor a live event or go in and help but you got to offer value, right? And so those things for us is huge. The other thing that we do is, it's so simple, but like people need to utilize Facebook. I think a lot of us, sales and building a business, building it the right way, I believe can be monotonous, right? Like it can be very boring sometimes, right? Like you got to do the same things over and over again, the consistency to really build the brand. And a lot of people, they do it for a week, they do it for 2 weeks, and it just fails. Dude, I have like, in terms of sales, our new franchises, if they're like, I'm starting from scratch, which we've had a couple in the past. It's like zero, brand new for whatever reason. Maybe they left a big agency or whatever. Dude, my favorite thing to do, that's just like, if you do it, I promise you that if you did this for a month, you will have 3 clients at the end of the month, or you just need to find another career. And it's so simple. We call it the Lowe's strategy. And if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot every day at 7 a.m. when they open, and you sit down the parking truck, all of these trucks come in, they're all your local roofers, plumbers, everyone. And all of them is Bob's Roofing, Dave's Plumbing, blah, blah, blah's handyman, like they're all your local people. Call us. So you sit down for an hour, write them all down, call them up and say, bro, I saw you at Lowe's. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I'm trying to get into the roofing space. Can I buy you lunch? And by the way, I'm just getting started. Be honest. I'm just getting started. So can we go to McDonald's? Because I don't have any money, right? dude, you will get people that'll do it. If you're not comfortable going to eat, like just pitch them. But like, that's your local audience. If you can't sell to the guys that go to church with you, bro, like you gotta back up. And so, and if you do that every day for 30 days and you just get 10 people a day, that's 300 people. And if you just build a relationship with those 300 people, like don't try to sell them. Just, I want to learn from you. I want to sit down and learn from you. They will want to learn from you as well. And you will be able to sell 2 or 3 people. So there's a ton of things that we do, but most of it is around branding, getting into the community, getting around, getting out there, getting loud. The people that grow the slowest for us, and that's okay, is the people that don't feel comfortable doing those things, right?
I love that, guys. So just type in Lowe's strategy if you kind of heard that and that landed for you. Struggling to land a couple of clients, this could apply, right? Go out to the local Lowe's, write down the names of those guys, reach out to them. Very low key introduction, whether it's the pool builder, the roofer, the AC contractor, they're actively doing business and you can start those conversations. I like kind of like the immediate opportunities. And then on the higher end, looking for joint ventures, right? Looking for people that are already selling to your existing client base that already have the authority, positioning yourself with them. And either, I know that you can structure these joint ventures a lot of different ways. It could be rev share. It could be just because they like you and they like the results that you've given. Figure out how to add value to them and start to plug in to their existing base of clients can be extremely powerful, great accelerator. And then you just mentioned associations, which is one of the key strategies I recommend, right? Join the association, local and national, and be at those events, right? Figure out ways to put on content for them. And you can really start to accelerate your positioning and your revenue growth. So really cool strategies and insights there.
Yeah. It's all about building relations. When we first started, I think there's 2 things that hinder people. Number 1 is they just don't do the work. Like it sucks in the beginning. You don't have case studies. You don't have a reputation. None of the stuff that people want, you don't have. So instead of trying to make it up and ask your white label provider to like fake a case study for you that's not really yours, like just put in the work. And it sucks, but it's just part of it. We've all had to put in the work, right? And number 2 is and this was just me, and I'm not a sales guy. I don't know sales strategy at all. Josh, I'll leave that to the experts. But for me, my goal was to have 5 quality conversations per day when we first started. So this is back when it was like, I left the other agency. It's like, okay, I need to feed I'm going to have a child in 2 months. I have no health insurance. Like having a baby is expensive. My goal was not to sell. I had no sales goal. My goal was to talk to 5 business owners, have a quality conversation with 5 business owners a day. So that relieved me. I knew that if 5 a day, that's 25 a week, that's 100 a month. If I had quality conversations with 100 business owners and they didn't end up asking me what I do, if they didn't end up intrigued with my service, like there was other problems, right? And that took the pressure off me. And it also allowed me to I would talk to them for an hour and they're like, Josh, this is amazing. I'm really interested in the roofing space and you're obviously a roofer. You've been successful, bro. If I called you back in like 2 or 3 weeks, like if with some more questions, would you be down for it? If I've pitched him, he's going to be like hesitant. But if I haven't pitched him, he's gonna be like, dude, yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to help because they're entrepreneurs as well. They've struggled as well, right?
Powerful, right? These 5 move forward conversations. And then the approach, right, isn't let me get this guy so I can pitch him hard. It's, hey, I'd want to pick your brain. And very transparently saying, I'm just starting to break into this niche, right? I'm just trying to break into this niche. I see that you're in it. I'd love to buy you lunch or buy you coffee, pick your brain. And this works, guys, because you start to understand the industry. And if you do it right, you're not trying to sell the person. He may wind up being very interested in hiring you, but he comes beside you or she comes beside you and she wants to help you, right? They want to tell you where the group gatherings are. They want to tell you about the continuing education. They want to introduce you to a couple buddies of theirs that may need your services. So I love this approach. And thanks for unpacking it for us.
It also takes pressure off of me as the sales guy because a lot of us don't feel comfortable doing it in the beginning. And so if I go in like I got to sell, crap, this is a big client. I'm it takes a little bit of pressure off, right? No different than dating.
Give me a 1 in comments if you can use this. Regardless if you're at startup phase or you're already pretty established in your agency, you could do this and develop some local relationships and some great connections.
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we talked about sales. We talked about business development. You don't consider yourself a sales guy, but you've built, an 8-figure agency in less than 4 years. You've got thousands of clients. So obviously your business development strategies are working. Let's talk a little bit about fulfillment, because I think this is your passion play. This is what you like best, is like delivering world-class results at scale. Talk to us a little bit of how you structure the operations side of the business.
Yeah. So in fulfillment, we've got, several different departments. So we've got the engineers is what we call them. So we have Facebook engineers, PPC engineers, and we've got SEO engineers, right? And these guys are doing the work. They know SEO. And just so you know, when you get hired as an SEO specialist, we have 4 weeks training. You're literally in a classroom for 4 weeks being trained on how to do this before you ever touch an account. And then when you touch accounts, you're still being audited and things like this. So so in our structure, we have our engineers, and then we have account managers. So account managers talk to clients, talk to engineers. They get the reporting from the engineers. They send it to the clients, but these are the communicators. These are the relationship guys. And we could talk about that in like the service side here in a few minutes.
That'd be great. Yeah. So how you guys are managing the retention side.
Then on the product side, dude, we built this incredible engine. So I got an amazing QA team that we've developed out, and everything's built in Salesforce for us. We're very data centric, and Salesforce seems to have the best data abilities. And so we've built in is basically I think on SEO, it's like 75 point, PPC, maybe it's like 90 point checklist of like what the structure and strategy should look like for an account. And so our QA department, before it's even launched, it goes to QA. And then we have another QA that's done, I think, in 3 weeks. And then you can also a manager can trigger a QA, right? Just like request one. And then we also have a metric. So we're pulling in data from analytics, from Google and from Facebook. So if a performance has a certain amount of decrease, like 3 weeks, it goes down by 200% or whatever, it triggers a QA. QA, then the way we've built it is that on the 75 point checklist, if anything is off, it automatically creates a task back to the engineer to fix it. Okay. So what this ends up doing is now QA is doing this, it automatically creates a task back. Well, our tasking system is built out so that if you don't do the task, then the manager gets a notification of the day, like, hey, this task wasn't done, right? So now the manager is responsible for making sure that's done. If it still doesn't get done, the next day, the director, the next day, the VP, and the next day, I actually get a notification that, hey, this task is 7 days late, right? And so what this ends up doing is 2 things. Number one, and make sure that our accounts are always, perfecting. But number 2, and more importantly, is that if I'm an engineer and I did this, I already built this account, and now I get another task saying to re-freaking do the ad, the ads for it, for example, or redo the freaking copy or redo the da-da-da. After a couple of those, you're just going to start doing it right the first time, right? And so we built out an amazing QA department, amazing train department. Now what we're working on, Josh, I'm super excited. We've put together an entire team. I think we have 6 people, 5 people maybe on the team. We're building out an entire virtual online training academy for Hite. And so it's literally our 4-week PPC course built into Salesforce, where we can, obviously create tasks and tracking and all the data and everything like this. But more importantly, if an engineer doesn't do something, we can try to figure it out. Like, okay, is this a training deal? Cool. We just assign that lesson, or maybe even that course, or maybe even that track, right? Or we can go, man, that lesson wasn't clear enough. Let's go back and refilm and redo that lesson. We're trying to do that across all products, right? And so, and that helps with cross training. The more our PPC engineers know about SEO and vice versa, the better. And then we have pods of 7. So 1 product manager with 7 engineers. Those engineers are some PPC, some at Facebook, some SEO. And then above that, we have a director level, a couple of directors, and then we have a VP of product above that. And then our QA department is separate, and our train department is separate. And we got about 100 of our 150-ish people in Nicaragua, 100 and probably 30 of them, 125 of that is literally in that area. The rest are hiring and recruiting, or finance, or systems, or something like that.
So a big force of people that know what they're doing, that are doing the work, that are cranking away for the delivery side of the results for the clients.
That's right. And we're even right now, we're trying to figure out how do we grow that faster, right? So like right now, our average last year, we net grew 100 people, right? And so we're bringing on to that department, 8 or 9 people a month on average, right? So it's a lot. This year, we're trying to figure out how do we get to 20? That's a ton of training, right? And the problem is when you grow that fast, if you have an account manager move up, well, that's typically coming from an engineer. And if the engineer moves up, that's typically coming from a copywriter position, which is our baseline positions. And so you got this constant training and movement. It's it's a beautiful chaos is what it is.
Sounds like it. And I think, a lot of us kind of, in our agencies aren't at that level, but the strategy behind, we want to get people, we want to have great training to onboard them. We want to make sure that they understand their responsibilities, their roles, their KPIs. But then we also have to make sure we have some level of QA or quality assurance or look back. You're not just letting these people run wild. Somebody's looking over it and saying, okay, good, nope, missed, and something to catch when things start to tail off a little bit on behalf of the client.
And I'll speak to newer agencies. Let's say you have one or two, whatever people, right? Because there's obviously a big difference there. Look, I believe someone has to be the expert in your company. Okay. So for example, if you don't know SEO, which is fine, you can't just go hire the first VA that applies for your company and tells you that they know SEO. Like, you don't know if they do. You don't know if they're doing their job. You don't know if they're doing wrong or right, or if they suck, or they're just doing incredible, but we're not giving them enough time, or you have no idea how to coach, train, mentor, do anything with those people. So you have to figure out how to bring on people that they know what they're doing, right? With salespeople, it's easy. Those that are looking for a job probably are not the best. You want to go recruit. With product, I do the same thing. Dude, most of my product people, I'm recruiting from other agencies. They've already worked for, I know, like it's too big of a risk, guys. Stop thinking about, oh, I got a $1,500 VA and you guys are spending $6,000 in the US. Like, the real difference between a $1,500 and a $6,000 salary is like 3 clients. It's 3 clients. It's nothing in your agency. But the flip side difference of you losing clients at a much higher rate, not understanding churn, it's so much more expensive to you in the long run. Obviously, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But hiring the best person you can and trying to figure out a way to make them prove to you, like, when I'm recruiting, I'm trying to think of reasons not to hire them. Like, I'm looking for it, right? And a lot of us, we're doing the opposite. A lot of us are like, we see the signs, we're like, they'll be okay. I got this client. I got to sell them. Let's hire, right? And so you got to hire great people, and it'll change your life.
Yeah, I would say, like, focus less on trying to find the cheapest talent, right? The cheapest version that's going to keep your margins healthy. Focus more on, let's find the best person so that we can go out and deliver and retain clients. I think is what I'm hearing from that.
100%. And we actually found which kind of brings you into service. So we're big into churn, like analyzing churn. Why is our churn happening? And I'm so excited. So in the white label world, our average churn in the direct, 10% was about our monthly churn on average. In the white label, we had about 12% average churn, which is probably good, I would think. In the franchise, our average in 2021 was 6.5% turnover, right?
Nice.
0.5. That's incredible.
Those are great benchmarks, guys. Looking at this 10% monthly, 6% monthly, if you're above 5%, like less than a 5% monthly churn, you might be like beating yourself up, like, oh, I suck. But the reality is you're doing really, really well. So I'm glad you shared those numbers.
Well, there's 2 other metrics of that I'll share as well, since you brought it up there. So there's also a churn by product. So I actually did a big study with a huge company in the US not too long ago, and they got acquired. But for Facebook, we found that the average churn, if you're doing Facebook, like predominantly selling Facebook services,
Facebook ads, high
your churn is going to be like 20 to 25% is like the average. If you're doing pay-per-click only, like my first company, 10% is the average. If you're doing SEO only, 3%, right? So like, you got to be aware of these things, right? Because
I'd be really interested to know the blending, because I'm a big believer that if you come in and you've got a combination of SEO and paid search, you can deliver a more consistent result and your retention should be higher.
100%. Now, how you structure that is interesting. So what we found, Facebook being the highest churn, we never sell Facebook. We will give it for free if you sign up for an SEO package, which we charge a little more for, right? Like, we still get money. But positioning that, we actually tell them, like, dude, Facebook is kind of an up in the air thing. Like, to be honest with you, 75% of people get success with it, 25% don't. It's all about your area, your territory, your targeting, your all this crap. So what we do is we don't charge you anything if you do other stuff. If it works for you, I win, because you're going to be a long-term client. If it doesn't work, we turn it off. Nobody cares, right? Like, that's our pitch, right? And so
that's really good. Powerful insight, guys. I just want this to settle, because I know a lot of agencies listening are really excited about Facebook ads as an agency, just doing Facebook ads. And looking across the spectrum of agencies I've worked with, you can hype it, you can guarantee it, but your churn rate, you're losing clients in 90 to 120 days. And I've seen guys go to 6 figures a month and back down to like 10K in a matter of a year. And so, blend your service offering and deliver a tangible result that you can actually deliver consistently. Amazing share there.
If you look at the top 100 largest agencies in the US, the latest data I saw, not one of them was a Facebook ads only agency, not one of them. So you can let that, whatever. So what we actually start doing these like surveys. So every single client that leaves us at the end of the month, we do a survey. And this is actually a new thing at Hite, where the account manager, whoever's talking to the client, we have 5 categories of churn. Did this happen because of communication? Did it happen because of the onboarding experience? Did it happen because of product? Did it happen because of expectation setting? Or did it happen just because their business, like maybe they went under or they got acquired?
Or they went out, right?
And what we do is that you have these 5 categories and you have 5 stones. And so an account manager, every single one of their clients that cancel, they put their 5 stones in whatever category. They can put it all in one category. They can split it up in 2, 2, and 3. They get, whatever, but they got 5 stones, 5 categories. Then what we do is we have the franchise owner do the same thing. And then we have our product guy do the same thing. So number 1, are we aligned on why this client canceled? This is important because a lot of times you'll find that like your sales guy will think this, your product guy will think this. And it's like, okay,
sales says the operations dropped the ball. Operations says it was improper expectations. Account manager says the results weren't there. And so I love that kind of blending and seeing what's the actual truth in this matter.
So if they're kind of different, now our leadership has to dig in. We got to find the truth. And that's cool. It'll be different because everybody's perspective is different. But if it's aligned, now you skip the deep dive and you just feed it for what it is. What we have found at Hite is about 40% of our cancellations are due to business. So of the 6 point whatever percent churn, about 40% is due to the business. About 19% is due to communication. Product is right at 18%. And then we have expectation setting is another 19%. So literally 25% of our churn, a little bit more, is due to some type of communication, either the pre-sale or the ongoing, right? And this is incredible for us because what we found was how we communicate with clients is so important. I'll give you an example. If I was to go, Josh, man, I met your wife the other day and dude, she was a complete douchebag to me. She was mean. She was hateful. She was whatever. Your instinct is to go, really? Dude, that's not like her. Like, let me go ask her because something must have had something more was to the story. So let me go check her. Let me go chat. And I want to get back to you on that because that's actually, that's funny. That's weird. Your instinct is to protect her.
Yeah. What
we found a lot of times clients go, dude, I haven't gotten any leads. I haven't this, I haven't blah, blah, blah. And the account manager go, oh man, dude, I am so sorry, dude. That's not good. Man, let me dig in. Let me dig into that. I'm really sorry. Right? Like you're accepting it, right?
Instead of instinctively saying, that doesn't sound right. What do you mean?
A perfect, I know we're sharp on time here, Josh, but like a perfect example, we had an SEO client. The client was like, dude, my performance has been going down every month for 5 months in SEO. My traffic every month is going down. Like I got to cancel. I can't freaking do this. And the account manager was like, yeah, wow. I can see it too. It makes sense. Like it went down and then they cancel. We went in through our analysis of churn. We went in and we're like, bro, like every year in winter, it's a roofing. Like of course the search traffic goes down. Literally every year you see the same angle. But if you stack last year over this year, we had 20% increase year over year. A lot of times it's about perspective, right? That's why you have to back out. You have to get aligned, right? And how are we communicating things? So
good.
It's
two powerful insights here, guys. I want you to take away whether you got 30 clients right now or you've got thousands like JC. Don't let the churn just happen in a vacuum, right? Spend a little bit of time analyzing, like, why did they leave? And really get down to it, because the default response is, oh, they were a bad fit. Or the default response is, oh, we dropped the ball. We didn't get the results. There's usually more to it. And if you can really drill down on those things, you can get better results for your clients. You can have better retention. And that has huge ramifications for your profitability and long-term stability of your business.
You should be keeping track. You should have a sheet, name of client, who the manager was, what products do they have, when did they come on and when did they leave? Because most of our churn happens in the first 90 days. After that, churn goes down dramatically. After a year, it's like non-existent, right? So how do you get past that 90-day threshold is huge and 180-day. And so you want the time, And then you want those like reasonings behind it, right? And you start building up that data, you're going to start having some real good consistency of like, dude, I could probably knock out 10% of my churn if I do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And then the kind of the step before that, guys, oftentimes I ask, how's business? Oh, it's going well. Oh, great. How's retention? And you're like, it's good. Well, what percentage? How many, what's your churn rate? You don't know, right? And you cannot improve something that you don't measure. So you should know month over month, how many did we lose? How many did we gain? What was the actual churn rate? And what's our average monthly retention so that you can monitor it and improve it, right? If you don't know, you're flying completely blind.
And you'll also hit these like hilltops, right? So for example, if your average churn is 20% and you're on average selling $5,000 a month in new recurring revenue, well, you sell 5, you lose 1, 4K growth.
You're not going anywhere, right?
Now you're at 10. All right. Now you're losing 2, you're gaining 5, still good. But once you hit 50,000 in revenue and you're losing 10, now you're negative 5,000, right? And so your retention is, my friend, like I believe it's the key to really having dependable scalability for sure.
100%. Great stuff. I want to be respectful of your time. And I know we're kind of at that hour mark. Would love to get just a couple, like when it comes to the communication rhythm with your account managers to the clients, what's your philosophy there? Are they trying to check in once a month? Is it just sending videos? Like what's your account management philosophy?
We've actually been testing this a lot lately because, it's such a complex thing. What we've been doing is we actually send a weekly email and we know they're never going to read it, but we want them to, the intention there is the client is getting called every day by other marketers. And we want them to be able to say, look, I don't know what JC does, but like, dude, I get emails from them every week on something.
They're paying attention. They're on top of the ball. They're communicating.
They're doing something, right? They're never going to read it, but it's valued. If they open it, it's a really big detailed email. We're actually testing switching away from that. So what we do from a communication standpoint is we actually like to, when a new client comes on, we schedule a weekly call, weekly call with them. Why? Guys, this is biblical. Love covers a multitude of sins. The better rapport we have with a client, the better relationship. When things come up, they will. When they come up, it's so much easier to overcome them if you have a great relationship. And that is done through communication. That's done through listening. That's done through understanding their problems and their weaknesses. And like, dude, he told me that he's struggling right now and he's trying to send his daughter to school. I just offered him a 20% discount this month just because. Like, if you can listen to those things and do it, it'll make your world better. So we do a weekly communication to get to know the people, know that, dude, you can call me anytime. I'm your account manager, right? Then we typically start going to a bi-weekly, and then eventually you're going to a monthly, right? It's always successful. We try to get them on Zoom. We try to make them face-to-face. We try to make them personal. If a client doesn't want to do it, we tell them, look, like our account manager will be like, look, I have to, like, I could get fired if I don't. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to call you every week. You answer the phone. You just tell me like, dude, leave me alone. Everything's great. Or you tell me whatever, but at least it's going to give you the option. And what you'll find is that even in that, like, whatever, you can hear their tone and you'll be able to start predicting churn. Now you can send a proactive email. You can send a proactive, like, hey, whatever. Right. And so we communicate a lot, and our max is about 35 clients to an account manager. And a new client in the first 60 days counts as 3. So you can't have 30 clients and then 5 new ones, because that would equal like 45 clients, right? So new clients equal 3. That's kind of the calculator that we use. Look, I mean, especially if you're hiring overseas, a new account manager, I would rather have many account managers and have better service. Again, an account manager, if you're hiring in the States, if you get someone at like $5,000, it's like 2 or 3 clients. That is worth having the extra level of service. Right?
Yeah, I love that, guys. So initially, right, that the first week, the first 30 days will set the pace for whether they're with you a year from then. Creating a world-class onboarding process and upping the communication early until they're feeling good, they're feeling confident. You know them, they know you. Love covers a multitude of sins. I love that as an application for retention. And then you can move maybe to like a more of a monthly communication rhythm once they're out of the gates, they're launched. And the number one reason clients leave is perceived indifference. And so just being super high touch with your communication is awesome. And so JC, amazing share and insights there. And knowing, you can't have one account manager serve your entire 100 client base, right? You're going to need one account manager for every 25 to 30 accounts, and you need to hire in advance. right? Once you're at like 15 or 20 per account manager and you're on a certain growth trend, you need to start hiring, training, and getting that person ready. Because if you wait until the account manager has 35 accounts, they're gonna burn out. Clients are not going to have the same experience. You're going to have churn problems. So it's just a couple things to think about. I really appreciate you sharing that metric.
Yeah. Account manager is something we believe is it's a big part of our churn, right? So like it's if you do it right, you want very low churn. If you do it wrong, it's tough.
What's your internal target in terms of retention? Like, what are you guys shooting for on a monthly basis as a either a churn level or a retention level?
Yeah. So we've tested different things here. What we actually have is a growth model for everyone. So our entire company, we used to have it where our account managers were based on net growth. So if you lost a client, but you upsold a client, then that could break even. Right. And I still love that way. In a new agency, that's what I would do. Probably. We got to the size where we wanted to make sure, and our culture is weird at Hite, where everyone at Hite is on the same level. So what we actually did was we have two metrics in our two core KPIs that are the most important KPIs in our company. One is profit and loss. So every year I already have my budget for the year and what we should profit. And sometimes we'll modify that by quarter if we're behind. If we're ahead, we'll keep it the same. So we have to profit a certain amount a month. And if we do, everyone in the company gets a 10% bonus, from the VPs literally to the maids that clean our offices, right?
Wow. 10% of their salary is the bonus they get as long as you hit your profit target.
As long as we hit our profit target. The other one is 10% based on programmed revenue. So this is like the growth of the recurring revenue has to grow. And our growth right now, we're trying to grow at 6% a month, right?
Okay.
That's a lot. So like if you're doing, if you're doing $500,000 in recurring revenue, 6% growth is like, what is it? 25,000 in growth,
yeah.
Right? So no, it's way more than that. 30,000, I think, in growth. So it's a lot. It's hard. So our goal is 6% growth month over month. And again, this is trend out. So if they actually get ahead, like last month, we had a crazy good month. So like this month, they actually could perform worse and still hit their goal. They get another 10%. And then our account managers, if they individually have, I think it's 8% growth. So they go above and beyond and they get a kicker bonus. And that bonus goes to the entire team if they have that much growth. And so I like the model of measuring it on churn for most agencies. And what I would do there is go, hey, we expect you that you're going to lose 8% of your portfolio every month. And if you lose less than 8, we're going to give you this big of a bonus. And that could be either a percentage of total revenue or a percentage of their salary or whatever. If they hit 10%, it's much less. If they go over 10%, maybe it's nothing, something like that. That's probably my favorite easy way to break down a commission for like an account manager and product people.
I love it, man. Hey, JC, so many amazing insights here. Guys, give me a 1 in the comments if you've got some interesting insights, valuable insights, things you're going to take away. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on your amazing growth and success. I know if people are interested in learning about maybe becoming a franchisee, they can go to franchise.hitedigital.com. You also help, you get masterminds and things for agencies. You've got an amazing book coming out called Agency Hackers.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how we can learn more about that and kind of plug into those resources.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to tell you about that. So jchite.com, buy the book, super easy, or excuse me, jchite.me. I think is actually what it is. I think it's jchite.me. Buy the book. Essentially, we broken it down into basically 12 categories. So we have a chapter on hiring, a chapter on firing, a chapter on finance, a chapter on product, a chapter, like pretty much we just went through the book right here. So you don't have to buy it.
Yeah, right.
But it's literally like the step-by-step, very tactical, very practical. Like I open up the book by basically saying like, and this is what I love about you, Josh, so much, but a lot of coaches out here, I think it's a struggle, right? Like you had an accounting professor in college, right? And he knew accounting. He spoke the truth about accounting. He knew the formulas. He didn't misguide you or mislead you. Like he knew accounting and he taught you accounting and you made an A in the class, but you would never hire your accounting teacher to be your CFO. Like there's a difference between the classroom and the theory and like actually doing it, right? And like, Josh, you've done it. I've done it, right? And so I think that it just is, it's different actually being in war and talking about your scars than, someone who's about to go off to war thinking about it and even been trained on it, right? So,
100%.
And so that's what kind of where we're coming at, from the book.
Love it. Love it. So be sure to check out jchite.me to connect with JC. If you got value from today's session, look him up on Facebook, send him a thank you. Very generous of spirit to come on, share all of these insights and wisdom. This has been awesome. I enjoyed it. I took some notes and things I'm going to take back to the team. One last piece of wisdom that you would share with that agency that's looking to get to the next level. Like one last nugget, and we'll wrap up on that.
One last nugget. So for me, one of the things that we do at Hite, and we actually do this with every team member, like literally it's a 5-hour session on a Saturday. Every new team member is a training we do around creating a commitment. And so Simon Sinek has kind of a right-wing sister to this called your why, right? But we're like, what am I committed to? So JC, my commitment is here in Nicaragua, right? Where we have a dictator in power, and I want to change the world. And the power behind that commitment is it's something noble and worth fighting for. So when we talk about that low strategy, nobody wants to do that crap. No one wants to do that crap. But if your commitment is big enough, if it's worthy enough, it doesn't matter. You're going to fight through it, right? And so for me, finding that why and declaring it and having it on your, I got mine on my wall here. Every team member knows my commitment, what I'm doing. Every friend knows it. This is why I bleed. Dude, you talk about a hidden strength, because most of the agency stuff, dude, it's not about, Josh and I might want you to think that it's like genius work and we're teaching you these deepest, darkest secrets of a lot of it, 90% of it is just putting in the work and getting after it, right? And you got to have drive to do that, right? And so what are you committed to? What are you really committed to? What is your drive? What is going to make you power through the hard times? Because there will be hard times.
So good. Thanks, JC.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening, guys. Post your comments. Reach out and thank JC. Check him out. And we'll talk to you guys later.
See you guys.